What if I told you that one simple moment, one tiny mistake, could change the entire course of history? For Martin Goodman, a missed flight in 1937 would not only save his life, but also create one of the most iconic companies in the world. It was an accident, a chance encounter, and an idea that would spark a revolution in entertainment. And if not for that one missed flight, there would be no Marvel Comics, no Spider-Man, no Iron Man, no Avengers. What started as an unlucky moment turned into something the world could never forget. Long before superheroes, Martin Goodman was a hustler in the ink-stained trenches of publishing, grinding out westerns, crime tales, and jungle adventures for pennies per word. He built his empire on whatever sold: pulp magazines with lurid covers featuring gun-toting cowboys, hard-boiled detectives, and damsels in distress. Goodman had a shark's instinct for trends, pivoting from war stories to romance to sci-fi with ruthless efficiency, always chasing the next big score in an industry where yesterday's hits were tomorrow's trash. Returning from his honeymoon in Europe, Goodman and his wife missed their flight. It wasn't just any flight. It was a passage aboard the Hindenburg, the massive German airship that famously crashed on May 6, 1937. Just a day after Goodman's frustration, news echoed across the world. The Hindenburg had exploded in flames over Lakehurst, New Jersey, killing 36 people. His anger transformed into stunned relief. By sheer chance, he and his wife had been spared. That missed flight didn't just save their lives, it gave Martin Goodman a second chance. Back at his hotel, dazed and shaken, Goodman wandered into the ornate lobby to clear his head. The chandeliers flickered above, casting soft gold light on travelers sipping cocktails and reading papers. He slumped into a leather chair. Moments later, a stranger sat beside him. An American editor from Chicago, flipping through a stack of colorful pages. They made small talk, magazines, stories, print runs. But when the stranger casually mentioned a new trend catching fire with kids, funny books filled with colorful drawings and speech bubbles, Goodman leaned forward. "What did you say they were called?" "Comic books," the man said. "Kids eat them up." The word lingered. Comic books. Cheap, visual, fast. Something about them felt electric. Returning to New York, Goodman was changed. He had built his career on pulp. Cheap, thrilling tales of adventure, horror, and romance. But comics felt different. More vibrant. More alive. Goodman knew what readers craved: escape, action, emotion. He knew how to package excitement and sell it to the masses. The world was shifting, and Goodman sensed something in the cultural winds. A hunger for visual storytelling that pushed boundaries. In 1939, he launched Timely Comics, a small operation nestled in Manhattan. The office was modest, bustling with typewriters, art desks, and the smell of fresh ink. Timely's first major success came with Marvel Comics #1, a groundbreaking issue that introduced readers to the Human Torch and Namor the Submariner. It wasn't just a comic, it was an escape, a mirror to a world on the brink of war. World War II struck, and Timely's heroes became symbols of hope. Soldiers carried comic books in their packs, finding comfort in stories of good triumphing over evil. Characters like Captain America, who famously punched Adolf Hitler on the cover of his 1941 debut, inspired a generation. Captain America was the brainchild of two young talents, Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. Joe Simon, a skilled writer and editor, brought sharp storytelling instincts and editorial discipline, crafting Steve Rogers' transformation from a scrawny patriot into America's super soldier with perfect narrative punch. Jack Kirby, a visionary artist with a bold, kinetic style, made characters leap off the page. His dynamic shield throws and heroic poses turned Cap into a living propaganda poster come to life. Together, they didn't just create heroes. They invented iconography, with Captain America's star-spangled uniform becoming an instant symbol of hope during World War II's darkest days. The character's debut in 1941, punching Hitler on the cover of Captain America Comics #1, was both a comic book moment and a political statement, establishing Marvel's tradition of blending superheroics with real-world relevance. Even frozen in time and revived decades later, Rogers' unwavering moral compass would continue to challenge and inspire Marvel's more complex, modern heroes. Kirby, born Jacob Kurtzberg, was a tough kid from the Lower East Side of Manhattan. He saw comics not just as art, but as an act of defiance. A way to fight back against injustice and tell grand, operatic tales of heroism. His dynamic layouts and cinematic action set a new standard for the industry. Kirby didn't draw superheroes, he unleashed them. Goodman's company was thriving, but the world of comics was evolving. After the war, the superhero craze began to fade. Goodman adapted. Timely became Atlas Comics, expanding into every genre imaginable. Romance, westerns, horror, crime, and sci-fi. The globe logo symbolized the company's reach, but even that reach had limits. As the industry struggled, so did Atlas. Desperate for a fresh start, Goodman rebranded again. The world was changing fast, and each rebrand felt more like a desperate grasp at straws. Timely had been timely. Atlas had aimed for global reach, but none captured the magic readers craved. Goodman's publishing empire, once thriving with wartime heroes, now stood at a crossroads, its future as uncertain as the mushroom clouds that inspired its latest failed identity. In dimly lit offices, artists and writers continued cranking out stories, unaware they were about to make history. Then came 1961, a turning point. Goodman knew the company needed more than reinvention. It needed identity. For years, it had drifted through names, Timely, Atlas, but none captured the imagination like the name from that very first hit. Marvel Comics #1. That word, Marvel, had power. It was bold, aspirational, mythic, so Goodman reclaimed it. Marvel Comics was reborn, not just as a publisher, but as a brand that promised wonder. Unlike the cold symbolism of Atlas or the anxious energy of Atomic, Marvel meant greatness. It meant heroes. And under that name, Martin Goodman made one more gamble. He handed creative freedom to a frustrated young writer named Stanley Lieber, better known as Stan Lee. Stan Lee had been with the company since his teenage years. Born Stanley Martin Lieber, he began as an assistant, filling inkwells, proofreading, and running errands. He dreamed of being a great novelist, and at first, he used Stan Lee as a pen name to save his real one for future literary pursuits. But Lee had a flair for dialogue and a keen sense of what made characters relatable. Restless and frustrated by the formulaic stories he was being asked to write, he stood in his office one afternoon, script in hand, ready to resign, but his wife, Joan, stopped him with a simple idea. If you're going to quit anyway, why not write one story the way you want to? That night, Lee stayed up late. He didn't write gods, he wrote people. He wrote a family. With Jack Kirby back at his side, they created the Fantastic Four, a team of flawed, bickering heroes who saved the world even as they argued. These characters weren't icons, they were human. It was a smash hit, and it opened the floodgates. These weren't just superheroes, they were human. And Marvel wasn't just selling comics anymore. It was building a universe where heroes crossed paths, teamed up, clashed, grew. Readers didn't just follow Marvel stories, they lived in them. At its heart was Spiderman, the relatable teenager juggling power and responsibility, whose quick wit masked his deep guilt. Then Iron Man, a genius billionaire haunted by his own weapons. Deadpool broke the fourth wall with chaotic charm, turning mercenary mayhem into dark comedy. The Thunderbolts walked the line between redemption and ruin, former villains pretending to be heroes until some of them actually became them. The Marvels, Carol Danvers, Monica Rambeau, and Kamala Khan, carried the legacy of cosmic power across generations. Falcon soared as both high-flying hero and eventual Captain America, while Thor's godly grandeur hid very human flaws. The Guardians of the Galaxy proved even intergalactic misfits could become family, their ragtag dynamic balancing humor and heartbreak. Hawkeye and Black Widow, the human weapons of S.H.I.E.L.D., showed that skill and sacrifice could stand alongside superpowers. And Vision and the Scarlet Witch's tragic love story blurred the lines between synthezoid and soul, magic and technology. The X-Men, outcasts fighting for a world that hated them, mirrored real struggles, while the Hulk's rage and Bruce Banner's torment explored the monster within. The Fantastic Four were a bickering family first, heroes second. Villains like Magneto and Doctor Doom weren't just evil, they had motives, they had depth. Even side characters felt real. J. Jonah Jameson's blustering headlines, Aunt May's quiet wisdom, they shaped the world around them. Characters aged, evolved, made mistakes. Stories had continuity and consequence. Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, and a growing roster of talented creators forged something that felt less like a collection of stories and more like a living, breathing world. Today, Marvel isn't just entertainment, it's culture. Kids dress as Wakandan royalty. With great power comes great responsibility, is quoted in classrooms and courtrooms. Politicians invoke Captain America's ideals. Marvel stories have become our modern mythology, our Hercules, our Norse gods, our epic odysseys, reimagined for a divided digital world. But the journey wasn't always heroic. Financial crises struck, creators left, lawsuits loomed. There were times when Marvel teetered on the edge of collapse, yet it survived, adapting and evolving with each new generation. Jack Kirby, despite being the artistic engine behind many of Marvel's greatest characters, eventually left the company, frustrated by a lack of recognition and creative control. He moved to DC Comics for a time but returned to Marvel years later. Kirby's legacy is one of tireless creativity and raw imagination. His work continues to inspire artists around the world. Joe Simon, after co-creating Captain America with Kirby, went on to work across different genres and publishers. He and Kirby formed a creative partnership that revolutionized not just superheroes, but the comic book medium itself. Their influence can still be seen in the DNA of modern storytelling. Stan Lee eventually became the face of Marvel, a passionate ambassador for comics as a legitimate form of literature and pop culture. With his bombastic catchphrases, endless enthusiasm, and signature cameos, Lee helped bring Marvel from the page to the screen and into global consciousness. His on-screen appearances became a beloved tradition, with each cameo serving as both a wink to fans and a celebration of the universe he helped create. Whether he was a Waihetu soldier, a confused librarian, a space bartender, or even himself, Lee's brief but memorable roles threaded through Marvel films like a constant reminder of where these stories began. These appearances weren't just Easter eggs, they were love letters to the fans. Yet through all the chaos, the legacy of that missed flight endured. The Hindenburg disaster. A chance conversation in a hotel lobby. A frustrated writer who refused to give up. These were the sparks that ignited a universe. But it wasn't just creators who made Marvel what it is. It was the fans. From letters pages, debating Spider-Man's ethics, to cosplay at conventions, to endless theories shared across forums, Marvel became a dialogue. A shared universe built by both storytellers and the people who lived inside those stories with them. If it wasn't for Martin Goodman missing his flight, Marvel Comics wouldn't exist. If it wasn't for Timely Comics evolving through Timely, Atlas, and finally Marvel, the brand wouldn't have survived. If Stan Lee hadn't written one story his way, the Marvel Universe might have never come to life. The Marvel Universe was born from chance. Atomic history is built on accidents. Legends rise from what almost never was. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so you never miss the next chain reaction of history. And remember, if not for this, this wouldn't exist.